If I only had time, only time.
It's no secret that we in the media love an anniversary, and they don't come much bigger than 50 years.
All right, technically they do, but let's not get bogged down in details, because 50 years ago, 1968 to be precise, was a pretty big year.
In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
One of the most notorious things to happen in this part of the world in 1968 was right-wing politician Enoch Powell delivering his Rivers of Blood speech in a central Birmingham hotel.
Whilst Powell's speech stirred up a lot of racial tension and loads of press coverage, and still does to this day, it would be wrong to remember Birmingham in 1968 solely for that reason.
In fact, there was so much going on that Ian Francis, founder of the Flatpack Film Festival, held every year in Birmingham, is organising a series of events to mark the year.
Really interesting time for the city, lots of change going on, all sorts of things starting up, new bands, interesting counterculture scene, student protests. So we've got a whole programme of exhibitions, screenings and events going on all over the city as the first weekend of the festival.
One of the events will focus on an almost mythical music venue which opened in the north of Birmingham in 1968, right here on Erdington High Street.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. It really looks like that kind of place, doesn't it?
This is music historian Jez Collins, and we're meeting outside what was voted the best club in the world for 2 years running, known simply as Mothers. The club was only open for 3 years, but boy did it leave a legacy. And I'm not talking about the fact that now it's a supermarket.
It's absolutely incredible on Erdington High Street. Not many people know about it. There's a little sign above, but honestly, this was the home of sounds. For those 3 years, it was regarded as one of the best rock clubs in the world, progressive rock music. Anyone played here. The Who played here, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Fleetwood Mac, Jethro Tull, Elton John played here the night before it closed and moaned about not having a grand piano. John Peel was the resident DJ. He used to park just as a gate behind us, and he used to park his Winnebago and sleep over there, and he'd DJ. So a really important place, really, not just in Birmingham, I think, but in terms of rock music history. Their membership, they had a membership, and it reached something in excess of 45,000 people, which is just insane for a club that could hold, 300 plus people. 45,000 people became members at the time it closed.
Apparently, global stars Joan Baez and Bob Dylan were members. Well, I haven't been able to get them here today. To be honest, I didn't actually try. But I have arranged to meet 2 other former members, Rob Moore and Sid Wall, who are just as A-list, but a little bit more local.
I hardly recognised it when I walked in.
Okay.
But I can still remember how the stage was. And
so where was the stage then? So
stage
in that corner?
Went from that corner there, right over to here. I went to most of these. There's a couple that I didn't see, and the one of them that I wish I had seen, which I couldn't get to, was this Pink Floyd one.
Whatever happened to them? Where did they go?
When Zeppelin first played, it was the first gig of their first UK tour.
Wow!
My brother's got photographs of the gig, black and white, and they're in the loft. He said he can't find them.
Oh, gotta get in there. Gotta get in there, try and find them.
Sid's brother's photos aside, regrettably there seems to be very little archive of the club. But although Mothers closed in 1971, in 2016 its name cropped up in American courts when Led Zeppelin were successfully defending themselves against a charge of plagiarism brought about by the band Spirit, who alleged their song Taurus was the inspiration for Stairway to Heaven.
Well, when Spirit came to play here at Mothers, there were rumours that Jimmy Page and Robert Plant were in the audience, and obviously they heard Spirit playing Taurus. Part of the evidence was that Plant and Page were here. They would have heard Taurus played, and that planted that little seed in their minds of that music hook, which turned into Stairway to Heaven.
Life in late 60s Birmingham wasn't all glamour and rock and roll, though. In the south of the city, American photographer Janet Mendelssohn spent much of 1968 documenting Balsall Heath, a down on its luck suburb. Her pictures will form one of the exhibitions in the Flatpack Festival.
Why was she drawn to Balsall Heath then? Tell me about that.
It was a big subject in the media for various reasons, really, to do with housing, immigration, vice. You know, there were lots of photographers coming here, but on the whole, the media was covering it in a kind of a sensationalist way.
Yeah.
And Janet's project was much more about let's show the kind of everyday fabric of life. You've got pictures of this crossroads here.
Oh wow!
So this is a butcher's, grocer's here.
So that bit is literally that bit of
that
corner there is that?
That corner there.
That's incredible.
Exactly. Number of cafes, and you know, it was a really busy spot.
Yeah. And this treasure trove of photographs, we nearly lost it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was hidden away for many years. She went back to America. It ended up in her attic in Massachusetts.
It's amazing to think that great resource was sitting in an attic in Massachusetts.
Yeah, we had no idea about any of this.
Wow.
And then a guy at the university called Kieran Connell got in touch with her a few years ago, and she just basically sent 2 massive boxes full of prints and negatives. And suddenly we've got this incredible document of what Borsall Heath was like in the late 60s.
It's hardly surprising these photos have generated such interest amongst historians, but there's also a personal side to them. Whilst researching the project, Ian found a photo taken in 1968 of the shop Uncle's. The owner, Mr. Singh, opened it shortly after arriving in the UK from India, but didn't have any pictures of it from the time.
So, Surinder, tell us, how did you and your dad feel when Ian found this amazing photograph of your shop?
Taken back.
Yeah.
As you could imagine, we've never had a photograph. Dad was quite tearsome when he did see the photograph. It did bring tears to his eyes. Just overwhelming, really.
What makes the photo even more poignant is that the woman in the alley is Mr. Singh's wife, Surinder's mother. She died in 1977.
Mr. Singh, what was it like seeing this photograph of your wife in this?
I was really glad. When I see it, I was really glad when I see this picture.
So I don't know if you know this, but Ian here has been looking into the archives. There's a new exhibition coming up, and whilst researching that new exhibition, he's found some other photographs. So Ian, over to you.
So you mentioned that the lady in the alleyway was your wife, your mum. I had a dig around at the end of last year, and there were actually a couple of closer shots from the collection. So
that's the one, is it?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah, that's Mum. That is a truly, truly great photo.
Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that.
Yeah.
I love that. And who's the child she's got with her then?
She's my daughter. It's great. Very nice.
Sorry. We haven't got many pictures of Mum.
This is really nice.
Now in her 70s and unlikely to return to Birmingham again, Janet will probably never meet the Singhs. But we've sent her this footage so she can see for herself just what an impact her photos are still having on people, half a century after she took them.
So there we are, just a snapshot of the plethora of things going on here in Birmingham in 1968, 50 years ago. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back next year to do a special feature on 1969. That's how this works, right? Has anyone got a history book I can borrow?